Hey everyone,
Hey guys.
it's Katie. I'm back with
TJ.
and today we're going to talk about our amazing trip to Kenya. We went in January of 2022, so literally a few months ago, but we want to share our amazing experience. We had a great time. I make videos, if you're new here, about nursing, traveling, and just lifestyle videos. If you want, I'd love if you like, subscribe, ring the bell, left comments below. And without further ado, let's get going.
Hey guys, I'm back, TJ here, and with Katie, of course. And we just wanted to talk about our trip to Kenya and how the Holy Spirit and God had used us, and how pretty much from the moment we decided to go all the way up to our end of our trip. But first and foremost, we'd like to welcome you in Swahili way of Jambo. And that is in Swahili.
Like greetings.
It's greetings in Swahili. So, Katie?
We want to kind of run through quickly about the process of what we had to do to be able to go on the Kenya trip. We had to support raise, which is basically you ask family and friends if they would like to financially and prayerfully support you for a trip to Kenya, for instance, or in our mission trip around the world. So we started that about
over a year before the trip.
Yeah, mine was March of 2021. TJ's was a bit later, but
it started, but it was just God had different plans for me financially. He definitely had me waiting and being patient. Where the day of 50% was due, and he definitely showed himself in having pretty much my whole trip paid for in just a couple months.
God really showed up just in the preparing process of financial raising and even just prayers for the trip. I mean, we experienced so many spiritual battles before, during, which we'll talk about, and even after the trip. So we got fully supported, which we praise God for. And then leading up to the trip, we had to get a bunch of updates on our shots, and we had to take malaria pills. How fun.
The basic health.
Yeah, just basic.
Health.
At the travel clinic, what they recommend. So we followed that regimen, and then leading up to the trip, we actually weren't sure if we were able to go, like a few days before the trip, which was absolutely scary. For me, I actually got COVID December 30th, and then I got symptoms very bad. It's worse my body's felt in years. But it actually, I'm so shocked. It went through my system pretty quickly, and so now a few days before we were supposed to go for the trip, we tested a bunch of different sites.
Yes.
All my tests came back negative, so it really got out of my system really fast.
I would say the thing that really we saw the enemy do before is right at Christmas, the Kenyan government decided to change the COVID policies where you had to be fully vaccinated to leave or come to the country and proof of negative test results. So that really dwindled our numbers of people going on the trip.
Yeah, and just in such a short amount of time.
Yes.
And they probably fundraised it and everything too, so yeah, it was unfortunate, but I believe the people who were supposed to go on the trip were the ones who got called to go on the trip, so that was good. But yes, anyways, we're talking about our Kenya trip, so we were both able to go. Our test came back negative to leave, and which I think that was the test we were most nervous about.
Yes, just to be able to get on the flight to go.
Yeah, and we don't want to show up to Kenya and be like, well, why did you come? because they would just send us back home.
They would have never let us on the flight first.
That too.
From Minneapolis.
Yeah.
But where we all started was we all met of course at the Minneapolis International. Our flight got delayed about 2 hours, and then we were able to take off and went to Amsterdam. And then from Amsterdam, we sat for a couple hours of layover until we could get on our flight from Amsterdam to Kenya. That was another 8 hours. So it was a good long flight.
Yeah.
But we landed in Kenya about 11 to midnight, and we were greeted by our other part of our team that already was there.
Like the leaders of the
Yep.
team.
So it was a nice warm welcome of having people there. And yeah, I got to our hotel at like 1 to 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And from there
Yeah.
the next day we got up at what? Like
I don't know specifics.
6,
but
7 in the morning.
Yeah, pretty early.
Get moving. I went to one of the schools. It was Haduma School. One of our sisters over there. And we did a little renovation.
Yeah, we helped with painting. We painted the clinic, which later the medical team would be using to obviously provide care. And then we also painted part of the school for the children.
Yep, some of the outer halls and outside entrance. We painted, like they had very large pillars that needed to be painted, and the ceiling, the walls. So it was definitely a nice recoat of paint that needed to be put on.
Yeah, definitely. But it was a good way to do a light activity to also help with jet lag. I didn't experience jet lag.
I didn't
I don't
either.
think TJ did either, yeah. But they recommended on the flight to sleep during Minneapolis to Amsterdam, and then from Amsterdam to Nairobi, Kenya, to try to stay awake, because then when you got to your hotel, you could just crash. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we really followed that, but regardless, we were tired.
I didn't really sleep a whole lot because
He was nervous.
I wasn't nervous. I was nervous, but at the same time, I don't sleep well while traveling.
Yeah.
I gotta stay up, but we slept for about a couple hours on the first flight, and it was like 1 or 2 hours. But on the flight to Kenya, I don't think no one slept. Really anybody, but
yeah.
it happens. But yeah, like our first day, we got up and just went right at it. Just giving back and making our school a beacon, because it's one of the largest buildings in the area of the slums, because it's literally like an oasis in the smack dab of the middle of the slums.
Yeah.
So, and this is a school. Even their church is the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, from there we went from that day and just sort of had fellowship with our brothers and our sisters over there, and got to know them.
Yeah,
And
it was
then-
really fun.
Yeah, and then the next day we went to, and that was Sunday?
Yeah, because church.
Yeah, so we went Sunday service to our sister church. What was it?
Off the river. We went to another sister church, and their church services are pretty long, so but it was great worship, and
Yes.
it was really cool to be a part. We were able to sing a few songs from our team, and then we had the Kenyan leaders sing songs that we would know, actually, because a lot of the people who would go to that church spoke English. But yeah, it was long.
Yes.
But afterwards, we got to hang around and play with the kids a bit.
So we sort of went
So
right
fun.
into our ministries.
Yeah, and door-to-door ministry too.
Yeah.
So then we got into our door-to-door ministries, and TJ, would you like to explain what door-to-door is?
Door-to-door ministry is where we would go and be broken up into groups. We'd be like two of us Americans would be with 2 or 1 of our brothers and Kenyan brothers and sisters, and we would go out into the slums and just try to minister and talk to people that were of the community. And it's sad to say, but they are more welcoming than people in America.
Yeah, definitely.
You could go up to someone and ask. You don't have to beat around the bush, and you could just ask them, are you saved, or do you know Jesus Christ? And if they said yes, you're like, praise the Lord. But can I still talk to you?
Yeah, definitely.
And if they said, yeah.
Some people just say yes to say yes. So.
Yeah. And then some would be, no, but I would still love to hear what you have to say, and very intentional and very open ears instead of go
and shutting
yes,
you off
they would
and
go,
closing the conversation.
Yeah, it was very sad to say that they're more welcoming than people in America.
Yeah. What kind of information did we tell them about besides Jesus Christ?
That we're from America, and they would just love to hear that us Americans are coming there. They actually welcome us with open arms.
Yeah, they do.
And hugs and love. I would say another thing would be
the My Story event.
My Stories, yeah.
Which is basically Grace Church basically has a kind of a production set and invites people from the community to eventually come to that church where we have the My Story event. It's entertainment. We had like a musician, father-daughter duo perform Christian rap. We had one of our pastors just share the gospel. So it was a way to also have fun, but also to hear about the Lord and the gospel.
And have people share their testimonies.
Yes, definitely. Testimony night. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had 3 of those throughout the trip. We had them Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday.
Yep.
While we were there.
And they're quite long.
Yeah,
so
those events are long too.
Yes.
So we had a long day.
Yeah, I would say all our days were very long because
definitely.
After Sunday, we pretty much hit the ground running. The nurse team.
Yeah, the medical team started bright and early on Monday morning. We started at Athi River, which was one of our partner schools.
Sorry.
Anyways, we went to 2 different locations, Athi River and Huduma. I'll kind of give an overview of the whole medical side of the Kenya missions trip because we did it for 4 days, Monday through Thursday. Long days, 9 to 4:30. So it kind of felt like I was working, definitely. But basically all we did really was the nurses, we had 4 nurses from the U.S. and 1 doctor from the U.S. So thank goodness we partnered with some Kenyan nurses and doctors. Otherwise, we would be completely lost. I was in the pharmacy working to pass out meds, and it's harder than it sounds. And especially when the meds come in boxes and you literally have to sort through them and you've never heard of these meds before. For instance, they have little abbreviations for things which no one told us about. But Tylenol is called PCM. Panadol, also another word for it. Ibuprofen is called Brufen, which you could kind of put that together. But they had a bunch of different medications that we wouldn't need in the U.S., like deworming medications, antimalarials. So that was very interesting to pass out to patients. And of course, they would have a doctor's prescription, which on my end was very hard to read. I'm used to the MAR. At work, they have like the MAR. Everything shows up on a computer, so it's like, of course you're going to be able to read that. And if you have clarifications, like you'll easily be able to read it and ask for clarifications. But yeah, so I was bugging the pharmacist the whole day and like, what does this mean? Or what does this stand for? Like, I can't even read this. But it was so much fun. I got to do some nursing education, just very basic. Like, a lot of patients itch their eyes and their nails aren't kept very well and they have a lot of dirt and bacteria underneath. They don't practice very good oral care in Kenya, also because they don't have access to probably the right supplies. We saw a lot of babies come in with a lack of appetite, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. We saw a lot of ringworm cases. We saw worms a lot. That was so common. But that could also be associated to like diarrhea, and when their abdomen's distended, you're like, yep, that's worms. So we gave deworming. The medical team also got to deworm children, which we got to pour basically just a solution down their throats, and they would all take it without complaining. They get that done once a month. So it was fun being part of that process. We also saw another interesting case was that a mom, she had a baby 9 months ago via C-section. 9 months later, she never got the incisions removed, so they were all infected. But our doctor from the US, he was able to remove some of them. But yeah, main things is that they can't afford proper medical care. So for instance, the mother, she couldn't afford to go back to the hospital because she couldn't afford it. So that was just very humbling to see. The other parts of kind of how our nursing was set, we would have a triage. We would have someone kind of ask what people were here for. And for those who could speak English, at one of our other clinics, not very many people speak English, so we had to use translators, which took a while. And then we would have vitals, like a vital station. We would take their vitals and just the basic blood pressure, temperature, pulse, respirations, you name it. So O2 sat. So that was pretty easy. A lot of patients like never had their vitals taken before, so it's cool and humbling because it's just vital signs, you know, like just very humbling. And then another interesting case was it was just very sad. It was a lady who you kind of like when you would see the person, you kind of do like a general assessment of them quickly. Because you could spend like 10 minutes with them, like asking their whole life story. But some women were really eager to show us some like scar burns. And via the translator, we found out that their significant others would throw hot boiling water on them. Or one lady was cut with a knife from a previous partner. So it's just very sad. And broke my heart that these ladies are coming from the community and there's abuse in the community.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing on the medical team. We were able to treat about 900 people in the course of 4 days. We were able to really be the hands and feet of the Lord. So the clinic, both clinics we went to were free for everyone. That's why I think a lot of people just spread it like wildfire. But yeah, I'm just so happy to be a part of the medical team.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome. That is really awesome to hear how many people were able to see help and get medical care, but also hear about the testimony of Jesus Christ. Because a couple of gentlemen, one gentleman and a couple of you nurses would talk about the story of Jesus Christ and all that. So it was awesome to hear about that.
Yeah. Well, some patients were waiting because we could only go so quickly. They would share the gospel with them, so they were able to hear in the medical, which they were primarily there for. They're still able to hear about the gospel. So.
Yes. So praise the Lord.
Yeah.
For me, I was with children's ministry where. Well, sports ministry actually, even though we dealt with the children. We worked with children's ministry. So what we would do is Monday morning, we didn't start as early as the nurses, but we got back to the hotel way later than them, so give or take. But what we did was we actually got to Athi River at like 10 in the afternoon, 9:30 I'd say. And sort of waited around, got everybody sort of situated, and then we left to go to another school, a school. So Athi River Church has a school there. And so we actually left and we went to another school that's just about 2 miles away. And that's where we got to have the entertainment for the dad and daughter duo for the Christian hip hop artists. They performed, and one of the pastors, he would minister and talk about the gospel. But what we would do is we'd get groups of like grades from like 5th to 1st grade or middle school, so 6th to 7th, 8th, and then some high schoolers we'd have. But we would do sports, and we would do the biggest thing that we would do is play frisbee. They don't have frisbees down there. So what we would do is we would take like the whole group of kids and then break them into classes, like 8th grade here, 7th, you get it.
Yeah.
And what we do is pull one student out or have the teachers pick a student, so it was fair. And we would have them do who could throw the frisbee the farthest, the longest frisbee throw, or we would have 2 students come and see and have the who could throw the frisbee the longest and keep going. So we did a couple cool games. They loved it.
Kickball.
We played at kickball one time, and of course we played European football.
Yes.
And of course they love football.
You
over
should
there.
tell their what they say.
So over in America, we talk about when we go shoot a basket or go to shoot a piece of trash in the can, and we all go Kobe. Over in Kenya or Europe, when they go kick a soccer ball and they try to make a goal or something, they say Messi. And if for you that don't know who Messi is a very famous football player back in the early, I think this late 70s, early 80s. Or, no, I take that back. Messi's from this era.
Yeah.
He's one of the best from the 21st century.
Heck yeah.
Underneath Beckham.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, that's what we would do. So we would play the sports, and then we would have them go and hear the gospel, and that's where we would have the performance and the gospel. And then while we were there, we also worked with the children's ministry. Some of the ladies, they had their own style. They would have songs and skits and all that, so it was really cool.
Yeah. I got to be a part of the children's team on Friday, and because the medical team was only Monday through Thursday, but it was so much fun. I didn't get to be in the skits because they had it already prepared for their team, but just watching the kids, I'll put some footage in, but adorable. Like we were with the tiny preschool and 1st graders, so baby fever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to take like every single kid home. It's so cute.
But yeah, it was really awesome. Every school was different, of course, and there was one school that it was massive. I think there was 500 kids at one point at just one school, and it was from kindergarten to I think 8th grade. So over 500 kids, and they're just so adorable, and they all wear the uniforms.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
some of them just warms your heart just seeing them because their smiles are so beautiful.
The kids are provided the uniforms from the school, so
And we're issued
Yeah.
like couple of uniforms,
2 or 3.
and they keep them clean.
Yes, they look very proper, and it's kind of surprising a little bit, but it makes sense. But like for instance, the international school is green.
So
and
we went
plaid,
to
blue.
a couple schools that were of the community, and then our next day we went to a couple other schools. Actually, I take that back. We went to a couple of the communities in the area of the slums, their schools, and then we went to another school that was an international school. So it was a very wealthy school where kids could go. So like high up, wealthy business, government kids, parents, kids of parents that were very wealthy could go, and then people from international could come. But we got to go there and sort of talk about the gospel and have a little entertainment, and then weren't able to play any sports because of the grounds were limited.
Yeah.
But they still were very welcoming and just sort of like because Pastor John, he was in charge of the sports ministry. He was a former Minnesota Gopher football player. So he's a big guy. And they were just sort of really starstruck best and just so surprised on how massive he is.
Yeah.
So
And muscles.
yeah.
They liked your tattoo.
Yeah, the kids, so I have 2 tattoos inside my arms that are Bible verses, and they really like them because over there they really don't have body art.
No. Not common.
So they were very oohs and ahs with that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was just awesome with the kids, and
Yeah. So much fun.
I would say, but it was definitely a amazing opportunity to be able to just be with the kids,
Yeah.
just seeing their smiles. But
Do you want to tell quickly of when we were door to door and we just kind of broke away to
yeah,
talk
I'm gonna say, what was that, Saturday? Yeah.
Yeah.
On Saturday, we had another My Story where we were at the Haduma Church, our other sister church, and then we went out again with door to door, and I say the slums in Haduma were worse than the slums at Athi River.
Yes.
Very, very, very nasty,
Impoverished.
and
One fun fact, and well, it's more of a sad fact, is that the average amount adult makes in a day is $1. So
Yeah.
you can kind of
so
sense that with like the amount of poverty. And,
so they definitely hustle and work very hard. So their work ethics are hard.
Yeah. Definitely.
But yeah, we were doing door to door, and we were with our doctor and his wife, with 2 of our brother and sister from Kenya. And while they were talking and talking about the gospel to adults, we actually had a bunch of kids around, so we took them on next on the other side, and started with ministering to them. But we were doing like Sunday school, Bible stories of like David and Goliath,
Jesus walking on water.
and then Noah.
That was probably it, but there are about like 50 or more kids around
I
us.
feel
It
like
felt
there was like
it.
50 kids.
Yeah.
They're just like, they kept multiplying.
Yeah.
Like, keep looking. You're like, wait, where'd you come from?
Yeah.
So they just love hearing it, and they love seeing you. They just want to give you hugs, but sometimes you can't let them because you don't know if they have a disease or not. So it's very, very sad you couldn't show affection like that. So very sad like that. But that Friday, the sports ministry and some of the carpenter masonry team was able to go to 2 of the prisons that are in Nairobi. One was a male prison, and the other one was a female prison that we both got to go to. In the male prison, only the males were allowed to go in. And being with my background, my job background, I am a detention deputy. I work in a jail, so they were like, yeah, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
They really wanted me to come. The male prison, it's very interesting to see how they lived, and it's all open. They have their own little little housings or cell housing, but the way the buildings are made up is they don't have like bars or nothing. They're just fenced in this one couple acres, and their living quarters is a building, but they have a 5-gallon bucket. It's all their property, so all their toiletries, clothing, stuff like that. And then they have a bamboo ground for mattress, and then the mattress and a mosquito net, and that's all they have.
And a bucket.
Oh, I already talked about the bucket. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
not
that's
much.
No. And most of these men that are in there are for very petty. Where here in America, people are arrested for just very horrible things, or sometimes it could be something petty or something. But these men and women are in there because they can't pay a bill.
Yeah, like rent.
Or
just
can't pay a
bill.
car payment.
Yeah.
Or they owe someone a couple
Yeah.
$100 and then they're arrested because
they never pay it back.
they
But
can't.
then again, a lot of people don't own a car in Kenya, but it's more
Okay.
like rent, like they can't pay something.
It's more or less bills or they owe someone something.
Yeah.
So that's that. But then after we got to the male prison, we did that and got to see meet the warden and share soda with him, some pop. that was pretty awesome. And then we got to the female prison that everybody got to go into. So that was beautiful. One of the ladies, she got to share her testimony, and after talking to them, we had a little entertainment from her daughter that was the hip hop artist. So that was awesome, and the women loved it. And one of the gentlemen, actually, God put on his heart to bail one of the women out, and it was actually amazing to see how they reacted, all the women, because this one woman was able to be bailed out, but they all cheered and celebrated and worshiped God for it. So
yeah, it was amazing.
it was awesome to see that. None of them were like selfish.
Yeah.
They weren't being
Jealous.
jealous. Yeah, they weren't being jealous or selfish. They were just
Happy.
so happy
Yeah.
to see that she was able to get out.
Yeah.
Because she, like in America, you wait until trial, and then you get a sentence. There, you sort of just sit and wait for a trial. You might get it,
Years.
and you might not. And she's been sitting there for like a year and a half waiting to be trialed or see a judge. And it could be whatever he decided, but she had like maybe another 2 years plus if whatever the judge wanted
Yeah,
to sentence her
that's a
with.
lot.
So she got two years back of her life. It was,
Praise the Lord for that.
yes. And
So wait,
Oh.
something else to note is that, yeah, you could be waiting a long time until your actual trial, and for something as simple as not paying rent or
a
anything.
very petty
yeah.
thing.
But also, the mamas can have their young children
Yes.
with them.
Oh, yeah.
I believe till, do you know the specific
Um,
age?
So in the female prisons, if they have children that are very young and need to be taken care of from the mother, I think it's up to 5 to 6 years old where they're starting to able to take care of themselves a little, or be taken care of, like grandparents or older siblings can take care of them. So
But yeah, a lot of these mamas have children
Babies,
outside
babies.
of, their current situation, so it's heartbreaking.
yes, and it was actually a great story to hear from the sort of the captain of the female prison, because she was a former prisoner there, and after she got out, she decided to go back as a guard and work there and spread the message as well, because she is a Christian, and she was the one that actually wanted us to come. So it was
That's really sweet.
great blessing. But yeah, she's a single mother of 3 and works there and works her butt off for these women and helps them. So
Yeah,
it's an amazing story there.
it is. But anyways, we're gonna switch to how, like, some of the questions. I think this was TJ's first international trip,
Yes.
and I just want to kind of hear, like, how was Kenya, and how was the sights, smells, what you experienced, more of what you experienced.
Yeah.
How
I
did
would
that
say-
impact you?
Yeah, so of course, like Katie said, it's my first international trip. So the flights was interesting. It was getting used to flying that much. But yeah, after landing, it sort of stepped out. It just had a smell, and it sort of smelled like Phoenix, a little bit of Arizona. So that's the only something I could
Yeah.
bring together.
Smelled like India for me, in Indian time.
But just seeing the way how they have things there and how buildings and the roads are there, very interesting. Now, of course, they drive on the right, in the right side of the vehicle instead of the left side like us, because they're British colonized.
How about more of the poverty?
The poverty of the slum is definitely heartbreaking. And then just seeing, like, you would have stores and all this, and then right in front of them was this, like, trough that was like a good ditch, and it would be full of polluted water, trash,
Garbage.
and feces,
Yeah.
human and animals alike. But the living quarters, you could be on top of each other. They have like a couple buildings that are tall, like apartments, but some of them don't have electricity. And then some places they were so on top of each other, but they're so tiny that some of them would be smaller than this bedroom, and there'd be like
Even, yeah.
5 or 6 people in one room.
Or the bedroom even cut in half or a quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they would have like a split where there's like living quarters and then like their living, like living room and cooking area. So, but very, very small. And they made it work though.
I think one of the things that stood out to me is I've seen poverty before in like US too, but it's nothing compared to India or China, and definitely nothing compared to Kenya or Africa. I think being more in the community in Kenya really impacted me. A lot of the women we talked to were saying, could you please pray for me to have a job? And I think that's one of the amazing things of one of our teams is the women's team, because it also talked about how the supplies you need to create your own starter business.
Yes.
And like I just pray that that word will spread throughout the community in Kenya and where we were, to be able to not only just minister to those women, but women of all communities. Because it seems like a lot of people genuinely want to help other people of their own community. Like it's not some, like in America, some power trip with companies. It's like we're kind of all in this together, and the people are so joyful there.
Even with so little.
Yeah, and it makes us reflect. Like we complain about the smallest inconvenience, and it's like, why do we do that?
Like
and
it's
I think
very petty of us.
Yeah, and it's not godly of us either, because just people who don't have a lot are literally have the most in their
happier
character.
than us.
Yeah, and I experienced some spiritual battles on the trip. I got my phone stolen, I think by a kid at one of the My Story events, and that really kind of shook up the end of the trip. It was near the end of the trip, but it just showed how, I lost some pictures I took in Kenya, and it was very heartbreaking, but I'm still trying to process that, and it was just pretty rough. The last few days.
Not just on you, but as in our relationship, definitely a big battle between us too.
Yeah, definitely.
You could definitely see the enemy trying to pull us apart with the stress and just the the grievance, I'd say, of just losing all that.
Yeah, it was a lot of emotion at once, and I also on the trip had traveler's diarrhea. I think we all did.
I think everybody did, because I did as well.
But I just felt like, things weren't completely going right, and it was just a lot of process, when you're doing something for the Lord and then this happens, it's like, And then besides that, we had to get tested for COVID while we were there. And it was its own issue of its own.
I'd say, because we had the test. We tested, Sunday?
Sunday and before you left.
Yeah, Sunday. We were supposed to go to church, but they decided not to send us except for, a couple pastors.
Because things were just crazy.
It was chaos. Very, very chaos.
Yeah.
But we took COVID tests Sunday, and that was for our safari when we left Monday. But then Monday we took another test, and that was going to be our test results to leave the country.
Yeah.
So it was very very nerve-wracking.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, the results were all over. We had families that were getting split up because of them. We had 2 families of 4, where the dad of one was then able to go to the safari or go home with them, and then the mom of the other family wasn't able to go as well.
To the safari.
As well, or go home.
Oh yeah, that's right. We had a couple like waves of people who were going home, and we were in the first wave.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really showed God's sovereignty and provision, but yeah, it was pretty chaotic among the leaders of the church team, and then us too. We were all kind of freaking out, even though we knew God would have it.
Yes.
But anyways, we made it home safely, and we got to share about our experiences. We had some opportunities to go to markets to buy our family's souvenirs and barter.
Just see the culture.
Yeah. And then we had opportunities that we'll talk about in a different video to go on safari.
Yeah.
It was like outside of the missions trip. But yeah, God really worked in both of us. Everyone had a part to play, regardless of their skills. I think that's something. Age. Yeah, that was something that really showed the true body of Christ. We had the sports team, medical team, children's, women's, carpentry,
pastor.
Pastoral teaching. Am I missing any other?
Sewing.
Sewing, yeah.
And you should get carpentry.
Business, yeah. And then just general ministry team as well. So I think I'm covering everyone, but everyone really had a part to play in this trip, and we want to thank the leaders of the trip. Definitely, we have thanked them too. So not just in this video.
Like you said, you definitely saw the power and the works of God. And like I was saying, because the age range for us was from 10 years old to 70.
Yeah.
So big age group and just with the little ones, the 2 youngest. The way they could interact with the kids and just relate with them and their age groups was just awesome.
Yeah. So. We were kind of in a tricky age where we could relate to like people, but not so much entirely with the kids or talk to them like a 10-year-old would be able to talk to them, or a 13-year-old and just play and be a kid.
Yeah, it was really cool to see how God could use all of us from our age groups, because the youngest was 10 years old, and I think the oldest person was up in their 70s. So definitely. Big age group of many people of walks of life. But the kids, because we had 2 girls that were very young, but it was just good to see how they could connect and do stuff with the kids there as well. And then, like for us, it was a little hard for us 20-year-olds or in our 20s, young adults. Where we got jobs and we've gone to school and all that. Yeah. Because over there, it's in high school you got a test. Same here, but their tests are if you don't pass, you're not successful, and if you do, you go to college and you go get a really good job where you can make successful and be able to pay and have. Support your family. Yes. Which is I think it's the main thing over there. It's just to have finances to be able to just support your family. That's right. Get your family out of the slums.
Yeah. Nothing like too luxurious. Like here we always want like the next big thing, the new phone, the new bigger house. So
new car.
They're more just like a consistent maintained.
Actually have a nice house with electricity, running water.
Yeah. But
it's great. See the difference and be able to just touch everybody's hearts. Yeah. But I think I would personally love if we had just our young adults group to go to Kenya. I think that would be just something for the kingdom. Because if you really think about it, these 70-year-olds aren't going to live forever. So we're the people, the next runner-ups to either continue these missions trips or not. So I think it's something for the church to think about. It's something for just our own lives to think about. And you don't have to go on a fancy mission trip to be impactful to the gospel and to the kingdom of God. But it was a great trip, and
we just thank God we were able to go.
Yes.
We had our difficulties in all sorts of areas, but
Well,
God used those.
We worked through them, and
Yeah.
God used them in His own way.
Yeah, it'll be something we'll talk about forever. So,
But
really thankful.
like our church says, the mission starts around the corner,
Yeah.
or across the street, and around the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So
Definitely just going to work and whoever you interact. So.
yes.
Yeah, so that was our trip to Kenya in a nutshell. We would love if you had any questions to leave it in the comments below. Again, if you want to like, subscribe, leave a comment, ring the bell. We'd love if you do so.
And then
But yeah.
we'll talk about the safari in the next video.
Yes, so we will see you guys soon.
Bye.